But it was a very varied experience, and I look back and it's probably quite diffuse and a little bit different, I think, considering where the Con in particular, and Romney, of course, was a very popular governor, well known, and hell, he's got a building named after him. You can serve with governors, but it doesn't sometimes, so you serve with a governor. But here was George Romney, got a building, presidential, the press loved him. Every time we went to a national governors conference, he was always one they interviewed, that was Harmon's job or Milliman. And, and working with the legislature. And then when I became chief judge, I spent a lot of time, because I worked the budget on my own for our court. The bills for new judgeships. When I went to the, Dick Young or Bill Cedarburg, I knew them on a one-to-one basis on my own, not because I was appointed chief judge. They knew who I was. And when I talked to them, I not only had facts, but they would believe me. And so that part of it, I was always glad I took the job with the legislature. Sometimes I always wanted to stay with the law, one way or the other, Attorney General, even Con. Sometimes you can lose that, taking this political job or that political job.
So Bob, in 1992, you made the decision to retire from the Court of Appeals.
Governor called after John Swainson died. Office called and said, would you like to be on the Historical Commission? And I said, yeah, I would. And I'm still on, got reappointed. And we meet about every other month, 6 weeks. And I've been active there. And then one day, not too long before the last gubernatorial election, the phone rings and hang on, this is, governor wants to talk to you. He said, I'm putting together a blue ribbon commission on casino gambling. Would you want to be on that? I said, well, yeah, if you want me to. He said, fine. And he named some names, Helderhoff, head of the FBI. Sister, she's head of the U of D, Mercy. Al Taubman, the big developer, a couple of high-powered ministers. Reggie Turner was on. He's going to be new president of State Bar. And he said, would you be the chair? So I learned an awful lot about casino gambling. And I tell you, you talk about money. That opened my eyes. It is you have no idea of the amount of money that goes through. And you just got to look at what happened to Soaring Eagle, one in Manistee. I think one of the unfortunate parts is when you get all that money, you spend it, you don't produce anything from it. It's just money going from here to here. There's no goods or products involved. And sure, there are problems. The professor they had around Grand Rapids, there are problems. Unfortunately, the public, it's here to stay. Now, some of them are going to start to go bankrupt. You watch. They had that in Mississippi and Louisiana. If we get saturated, some of them aren't going to make it. But it was a very interesting commission to serve on. Public hearings, I had one down here in Lansing, and a fellow came who had the Mirage, and there was a real article. Surprisingly enough, and he was right, there hadn't been a lot of casinos built into Vegas for a long time. He won the early one, and he had a smaller gambling area than most of them, but he was about to begin the dinner shows. Mm-hmm. The Siegfried and Roy deal, and that boomed, and of course that brings in gamblers, but it also began to bring in more family people. But he was, and the money, and we sent people to Atlantic City, and in Atlantic City, it didn't bring back any restaurants. The people all stayed in the casino because they could eat practically free. And the rest of them, Atlantic City, you get off the boardwalk, is dead. But it's here, but it was very interesting. So I've kept active, keep active politically. In fact, I sat back on the Court of Appeals in July. Had a judge who went down sick, and he's very ill yet, Gary McDonald out of Saginaw. They called me, so I came here to Lansing and got one last opinion. It really wasn't my case, but I wrote a dissent, which has now become a majority, so I get that done and then wind that up. So,
it's been a delightful hour and a half, and you've had a remarkable career in public service over the last 50 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.